going to look at is what? We've done our edit for grammar. Now we have to make sure to get our perfect mark. You're all going to get perfect marks because you're here. Referencing. Don't be surprised at how long this takes. I can speak from experience. I never leave enough time when I write paper to do this. I often have to get help to check my referencing. So you have a choice between Harvard and APA. Your areas have suggested one for you. The one thing that you must reference for yourself is a journal, or two, depending how many you're using. So I wanted to briefly talk about journals. The other two sources are referenced. We're going with the paper. We're not yet. They're referenced like a book. So you've got those details referenced them like a book. That's quite easy to do. But with journals, there's an added annoyance, I suppose, is journals are generally, certainly at this university, electronic sources. And there are some slightly different rules. One that you need to look out for is, how do I show this is electronic? What are the things here that really point that out? And there's a slight difference between APA and Harvard.
DOI.
The DOI. When you see a DOI, you get excited and you grab it.
And the date view.
Yeah. No, you don't need that with a DOI. No, that's why you get excited, because DOIs, that's all you need. However, prior to 2000, and in some journals, these are not available. And in that case, you do need to think about your viewed date, and you need to look for a link. With Harvard, we recommend that you take the link that's associated with the, this case, that's ProQuest, which is associated with the database. And they can be quite long. Quite often cutting that down is fine, because it's really just telling us what database you went to. And guess what? Those journals jump around. They don't stay in one database. So it's really, and they live in several. So it's sort of just saying, I got it from this particular database, and this is the day I got it. So on that day, it lived in this database. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow and where it might live in the future.
So can Harvard have a DOI as well?
It can, and you look for it there, and you are also then not required to put in. I'm going to show you two examples, but I wanted to show you this. And also, in this case, the Journal of Addiction. I don't know why I chose that, maybe because I'm addicted to chocolate at the moment. You would actually make sure you've got the .com or the actual web link for the journal for APA. And I'm saying that quite loudly to any psychology students here, where they really do follow this quite carefully. So for an example here, and I've got a little quiz for you up there. It's really hard. No. Here's a journal. You can see sort of there's a group up there. You can see some of the information that's from the higher education. One is referenced in Harvard, one is referenced in APA. What are the obvious differences here?
Comma and dot point after.
Yeah, dots, commas.
Yeah. Pages.
The pages are different. So, and that is an italicized 16. There's no gap. And then you've got 2. Notice there's no PP, but the DOI stays pretty much the same. And there's one little rule that always confuses me. With Harvard, everything ends with a dot except for the DOI. So in this case, there's no dot there. But if anything else you did with Harvard, you end with a point, the dot at the end. So just an example there for you. The lovely thing to know too is, given you are obviously on campus, we have drop-ins every day, even in the library, where you can quickly get someone to check that. But I think it's good to learn now while you have a bit of time. And you are required to reference at least one journal, and some of you might be using 2 in your summary. Notice the difference. I always say APA love dots. So even here, L and A, they use the initials are dotted, pointed, whereas Harvard, and this is USC Harvard. There are versions of Harvard. Unfortunately, there is no one book for Harvard, and that's why we produce a book for you. Is everyone aware of that? Because my next slides show you where that lives, and you can buy it. So yes, Harvard likes to use commas except before the year. I don't know why it doesn't want one there.
Are they continually changing?
No. This one is in, there's a 6th edition.
Like
This is in 6th edition, and it might have a new edition, but we work off the 6th. That's why we call it APA 6. This one only changes in the sense that every university tends to interpret it in their own way. We've used the Style Manual, which is a government resource, and there's very little information in there on Harvard. So what we've done, and when I say we, Academic Skills took us, and it's still not perfect. There are people, there's still an odd thing in here that's not quite right or a little bit inconsistent. We produce this booklet for you, which is online. I'll show you quickly where to find it. You can buy it for $4.70 otherwise, but we've interpreted Harvard. We've got all the rules from the Style Manual, which is, P, the page number. Some versions of Harvard use a colon. Have you noticed in Greg's book, he's got a slightly different version of Harvard in that, with a colon? No one's noticed? Greg Nash's book, yeah. So another version of how to show page numbers. But you're being encouraged to use this because you can at least open it, look it up, and it has everything in here. Donna will attest to this, including how to reference movies, plays, translations, and those sort of things we've had to make calls on because there's no clear guide. There's no book for Harvard, not a whole book, not like this, as it is for APA. So when people say, where's the hard copy of this for APA? It's a book in the library where you can purchase it, or it lives with us at Academic Skills if you ever want to check it or find out some answers from it.
Do you buy it at the mail and continue?
You can, yes. So the next slide is to show you, in case you haven't found where we live, Academic Skills, you must click on Community. What I'm doing today, Janet's going to put into your Blackboard under my courses, under Core 109. But Academic Skills, you should know about this because there's lots of stuff in there, not just referencing. You have to scroll right down to referencing to find these. And then you will get links to quick guides for Harvard and APA. And here's the book. You can steal that PDF, put it on your stick. But if you're like me and you like paper, you go and purchase it and you keep your receipt for tax. Because we do things like that when we're students. And it's you can have the copy of the book. And we've kept it as cheap. They've basically been very kind to us and produced it at no extra cost. Not making a profit on this. You'd know that if you printed it out for yourself. So it's available there. I appreciate there's still the odd little thing in there that we will clean up eventually, but pretty much you follow this, you're fine. And for this task, you can live just with those, the quick guides. But as you become a student, you will come across some tricky things. Come and see us too. We help with that sort of thing. Probably the biggest painful thing to reference are web pages and web stuff. So if you encounter those sort of things, blogs, those, come and get a second opinion on how to reference those correctly in Harvard or APA.